So hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio and my YouTube channel. And I'm super excited to be joined by the very talented Matilda Freeman. Thank you for joining me.
That's okay. Thanks for having me.
Now, obviously, the last year has been completely mad. It's been turned up on its head. You know, no one really knows what's going on. We're in lockdown number 3. How have you found the whole situation? I mean, work-wise, how have you been affected?
It's been okay. When we first went into lockdown, Corrie stopped completely, and I actually quite enjoyed it. I think also because the lockdown started when it was sunny. Everyone could kind of go outside, and I feel like at the moment, because it's still kind of cold, it's not as sort of fun as it first was. And I had all my school on Zoom, and then in the summer I decided to homeschool because I liked it so much. So it was kind of useful because I got to try out homeschooling, and now I'm doing it properly. I also bought some cacti at the start of lockdown, and I named them all, but recently one of them he died. This is Barry, and Barry is dead.
Oh no.
But the rest are fine. This is Molly. She's named after Molly from Corrie. I was like, I'm gonna get another cacti. What should I name it? She was like, name it after me. I was like, okay. So yeah.
So is that something you quite enjoy, sort of like gardening and sort of plants?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a bad mother to Barry, but yeah. all my other plants are fine. So.
Now, I mean, I imagine it must be quite tricky when you're having to do, acting along with studying. So, I mean, how do you fit it all in? Because I know I don't think I could do all of that at the same time.
Well, you know what? Now it's so much easier because I'm doing A-levels now. And I'm only doing 2 A-levels. I'm doing English Lit and I'm doing an Art Foundation course, which counts as 2. And I haven't started the Art Foundation course because that's going to take a bunch of time. But I'm basically only doing one subject now, which is so much easier. And with homeschooling, I have way more time because when I went to public school, I would have to be at school and then I'd have to go to Corrie halfway through the day and I'd have to, sorry, my dog's sniffing. And I had to do homeschooling while I was there. And then sometimes I'd have like a bunch of scripts to learn last minute. It was very stressful. But now I just have so much more time. It's a lot easier. But when I was at normal school, it was very tough. Like I had 2 other tutors because I'm good at English, but maths, I'm so bad at maths. And I had a tutor anyway. So I did get quite behind on a lot of things. I remember in year 9, I had to quit Spanish because I'd missed so many lessons that were like important. So it was very tough then, but now it is a lot easier.
I mean, I know when I was at school, I found it hard enough doing the subjects full time. So I imagine when you're having to sort of fit it in around other things, you have to, you have to really schedule it out and work to a schedule.
And I'm not organized at all. I'm so disorganized. So my mum helps a lot. My mum is amazing.
It must be nice to have someone who kind of has your back and who's able to help you out when needed. Because, I mean, trying to remember things and trying to schedule things, it's not easy.
I'm very lucky. I have my mum. She is amazing. And, yeah, she's great. I'm very, very lucky to have that.
Now, obviously, we must talk a bit about summer because that was a huge part of your life. For 3 years you were on the show for. So, I mean, can you remember your first scene, the first, time you were on set? Do you remember how you felt? Were you nervous?
I actually wasn't, which is weird for me because I'm the most nervous person ever. Like, I get so nervous about, like, silly things. I get nervous just, like, going onto a school Zoom call. Like, but I was so excited. And I think also because I'd already done a screen test for my recall audition, I wasn't like, oh my God, what's it going to be like when I filmed? Because I'd already kind of done it in my screen test. And I already knew Dan, so I wasn't like, oh, will he like me or will he hate me? Because I knew him. And it wasn't my first job, so I had filmed before. I think if it was my first job, I would have freaked out. But it was just really exciting. I remember like getting my hair done, and they had this like messy ponytail. I know, like it was just really nice, and all the costume people were really lovely. It was just a really nice. Can you? Sorry. She's like crying at me. It was just a nice environment to come into, and I came in and everyone was just smiling at me. I just already kind of felt so like ingratiated in it, and then filming the scene was just so exciting. And
I imagine as well having, you know, like Dan as kind of like a mentor. That must have been nice to know that there was, you know, I mean, Coronation Street as a program. I mean, I've spoken to a few of the cast in the past. It's such a close knit group, but to have, you know, like people you can lean to if, you know, you're not quite sure where you're going or where you need to be next. It must be great to have people you can rely on.
yeah, it's really good. And also, like, you would never believe that, because Dan doesn't have any children, but he was so good with me, because I was like 12 when I started, so I mean, I'm 16 now. I'd probably look the same because I have a baby face. But he was very good with just like talking to me. He never talked down to me or anything. He was never patronizing. Like, he did treat me like an equal, and so did Bruno as well. I was very close with both of them, and it just felt, I don't know, it just felt really great. And I remember on my 13th birthday, I was working, and I came in and I brought a cake in, and I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh, will people think it's weird? Like, I don't know, like, because I'd never like had a birthday there or anything, and I didn't really know many people at the time, but like everyone was so nice. Like, Lisa was like, cut the cake for me, and Georgia was being so sweet. And then I went to go and film scenes outside of set, because we used to go to a separate studio to film hospital scenes. And when I was coming back into the studios, a bunch of fans at the gate were yelling happy birthday to me in my car, and it was just the sweetest thing. Like, oh, it was really lovely.
And I imagine as well, when you first stepped foot on the square, on the street. I mean, were you a fan of the show before joining? And was it like a kind of a pinch me moment when you're stood outside the Rovers and things like that?
Well, I'd never watched the show, but that's not anything against Corrie. I don't really watch TV, but I knew how important it was to a lot of people, because my nan was a massive fan, and I even had friends at school. I remember one of my friends said to me, should I go over to my friend's house or should I watch Corrie? I was like, oh, well, I don't know. You should probably watch it later. She was like, no, but it's Corrie. And I was like, oh. Like, you realise like how important it is to so many people. So going there and going on set and seeing everything, because obviously I'd done my research before I'd gone on set, I was like, oh my God, like so many people probably dream about coming here. I'm so lucky to get to just be a small part of it.
And I mean, when you eventually make the decision to leave a show like Coronation Street, was that a tough decision to make, or was it quite easy for you? Did you feel ready?
I think the thing is that I loved working on the show. It was amazing, but I am a very restless person, and I love to do lots and lots of different things. And I think another thing is, in my first year, I was like, had so many storylines, and I actually, after my first year, I was getting to a point where I'd been working so many hours, we had to be careful because I was still under 16. And so after that, my storylines went down quite a lot, and that's okay. You know, I don't want to be like full to the brim, but I didn't really have many storylines for the next 2 years. And I did speak to them and say, do you have anything planned for my character? And they were very honest with me and said, not really until you're 18. And that was kind of difficult. I mean, I was still doing good scenes, but it was just, and I think also the fact is that because I have a manager and I've worked before, while I was at Corrie, I was getting asked to audition for other things. So I had an audition for Stranger Things while I was at Corrie, and it went really well, but I couldn't go any further with it because I was in the show. And I was like, oh, I love working on Corrie, but I can't leave and do this. And it's like, can I wait till I'm 18 and do a great storyline, or should I go now and do something else? So it was kind of difficult, and especially leaving people, like leaving like Dan and Alex Bain, who's literally my best friend, was really hard. But I think it felt right. It was the right time to go. And obviously Corrie was amazing, but I'm glad it finished where it did. And funny enough, my last line on the show was, thank you. Like, I used to say it to Peter's character, and I feel like it just kind of sums up what I have to say to the whole team, because, you know, it was a great experience, but I'm glad it ended how it did.
And I think sometimes when you have that niggling feeling that maybe it's time to try something else, you have to follow it, because you'll always have that thing otherwise of, what if I had, you know, if you were to have stayed, what if I had gone and not, done something else. So you'd always have that thing in the back of your head as to what if.
Yeah, I definitely would. But I'm glad I did, because exciting things are happening at the moment. But I'll obviously never forget working on Corrie.
Now, I mean, going forward, what is the dream? What would be the dream job for you? I mean, is there a sort of a thing, something you would love to do?
Well, I love period drama. Like, I love history. I'm probably the most annoying person to go and see a period drama with, because I'll be watching it, I'll go, no, that's not right, and that wouldn't have happened, and that costume, that's wrong. Like, I'm quite picky with period dramas, but I love them. So doing something like that would be amazing, because I've never done a period drama before. So that would just be like the ultimate dream. That would be amazing.
And I mean, what have you been working on since leaving Corrie? I mean, have you had chance to get your teeth into any other roles yet?
Yes. So I'm not allowed to say what it is, because I signed this very scary contract. But in November, I went to South Africa to film for a TV series, and that was insane. Obviously, I did it under COVID, so it was very different to normal. But I filmed for a few days in South Africa, and it was really fun. It's very different to Corrie, this new thing that's coming out this year, I believe. It's very different. So I'm kind of glad, like, you can sort of see a very different genre, but it was really fun.
And it must have been amazing to go abroad as well, because obviously this year hardly anyone has been able to travel. So the fact you got to go somewhere must have been amazing.
I was so lucky, and I even got days off, so I could go to Boulders Beach and see the penguins, and I got to go like into the main town bit. Like, I was very lucky. I had to quarantine for like 2 weeks before I started to film, but I had a balcony in my hotel room, and I could see dolphins out my window, so I was happy with that.
Now, I just have to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. But before we go, is there any messages you'd like to give to anyone who is stuck in hospital at the moment, or to the amazing NHS service that we have out there?
I just want to say to people in hospital and people at home, that you're not alone, because it can be really tough. I know myself, and I know other people. You can feel super sort of drained, and my mum is an NHS key worker, and my mum is absolutely knackered, but she's still going, and I feel like I just have a lot of admiration for her, and I feel like people who, like, people are still, they're working so hard. I don't know, it's just, I feel like respect, I don't know how to put it into words, but like, there's respect I have for my mum and what she's doing, and just seeing how like tired she is from it but still going, like the respect I have for people working at the NHS and people who are in hospital and still going. I feel, like I said, respect for them, and I'm very proud of sort of how we're going with it, and we're making progress, definitely. But yeah,
I mean, there aren't enough words to describe the amazing NHS. No. So I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for giving up your time. Of course, keep safe, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
Okay, thank you.